A young woman facing the charge of arson. The National Neighborhood Watch Council reaching another milestone, and the Heart Association undergoes a significant change.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Rule-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, a young woman charged before the court this morning in connection with that massive blaze that destroyed the Britannia Mini Mall in Caravel Beach just 1 week ago. As Italia Hall reports, during the arraignment, the woman's attorney made an appeal for her client to be released on bail.
23-year-old Jezreel Malone of Carissa Street, Freeport, was arraigned before Deputy Chief Magistrate Debbie Ferguson in Magistrate Court No. 1 on the charge of arson. Malone, who is married, is accused of setting fire to the Britannia Mall in Caravel Beach on Wednesday, February 27th. The building, the property of Raymond Meadows, had a total of 14 tenants with an estimated value of $2 million. During the arraignment, Malone was not required to enter a plea, as the matter is an indictable offense. The prosecutor, Sergeant Veron Roll, noted that the charge could result in a prison term of up to 20 years. Prosecutor Roll said that Malone admitted to the offense while in custody. Hence, he said he believes that bail should not be considered at the magistrate level based on the magnitude of the case. Counsel for the defendant, Tamar Moss, said that her client plans on pleading not guilty, adding that she believes that her client is fit for bail and she should not be remanded to prison. To that, Magistrate Debbie Ferguson said that the defendant would need to bring $60,000 in cash in order to receive bail from the magistrate court. She then asked Attorney Moss if there's anything unique about her client that she should know. Moss then told the magistrate that Malone is pregnant. Magistrate Ferguson then asked Moss if Malone was able to see a doctor since she was in custody from February 27th. Attorney Moss explained that Malone may be a little over 4 weeks pregnant and has not seen a doctor as yet, and that she only took a pregnancy test. Bail was denied and the matter was referred to the Supreme Court for hearing. Magistrate Ferguson said, given Malone's condition, the court will assist in having the matter expedited. Attorney Moss also shared that at the end of the day, she wants to ensure that her client is released from custody. The matter was adjourned until May 1st at 10 a.m. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Meanwhile, an employee of that plaza is speaking out tonight about several concerns as well as the way forward. 20-year-old Malik Wilkinson says he witnessed firsthand when the incident surrounding the fire took place. Now that the matter is before the courts, he is unable to speak to any details surrounding this case. However, he says once the building was on fire, he sprung into action to see how he could extinguish the blaze.
Went back to the store, I tried to find a fire extinguisher, and I'm just going to point this out that, this has to be implemented. You have to have a fire extinguisher to the exit and to the entrance, because our fire extinguisher was actually to the back door where the fire started, so I wasn't able to get that. So I wasted time having to go and get a fire extinguisher from one of the other stores. And when I got back, there's another thing, it was half full, so it was like, nothing you could do with that. So I had to go back and get another fire extinguisher. By the time you're doing all that, the outside of the building was on fire, you doing the inside, it was like, you couldn't really do much.
He also brings into question the response of the fire trucks as well as the building codes.
By the time the fire trucks got here, they came late, first of all, and then they ran out of water, which led to the whole building being burnt down, because like I said earlier, nobody expected the whole plaza to burn down. And another thing I want to bring up is that there were no firewalls in place. Now, they did have dew rock, which separated each unit, which would stop stealing when you're in the roof and such, but it wasn't enough to stop a fire. And they said that was up to code, and I think we need to look into that code. And you can't really blame the owners of the building, because it was up to code and he bought the building as such. So right.
Wilkinson says it was heart-wrenching to see such a great loss.
As soon as I noticed this wasn't doing anything, I broke down. I just broke down in tears, because it isn't just about me and just being an employee there. The whole Rachel's Britannia Mini Mall was a family. Each of us used to go by each unit crack jokes. It was like all of us knew each other. It wasn't so structured where, you don't know who worked in the next door. Everybody was just together, and we worked as a family. And even the owners, they were all involved, each store owner. And to know that they lost everything, not having insurance, and you lost everything you put in, like, you have to feel for them as well.
Now a committee has been formed and a fundraiser has been planned for April 6th, and a GoFundMe page has been set up to assist the shop owners.
All I could say is just put yourself in the person's shoes. Like, a lot of business owners know what it is to put all you have into a business, and just to come back one day and find that everything you put in your whole life is just gone just like that. That's hard. That's very hard. And you don't have to come and stand around and enjoy the festivities, but you could just come and give a donation. Go on the GoFundMe page, just as small as $5. That'll make a difference. Just sharing the information with others will make a difference.
In other news, 2 men are in police custody following a brazen armed robbery in Abaco. Reports are that shortly before 10 p.m. on Saturday, 2 males, one armed with a firearm and the other with a knife, entered a business establishment on Don McKay Boulevard, Marsh Harbor, and robbed the cashier and 2 male customers of cash as well as personal items before escaping on foot. Now, a short time later, 2 males ages 24 and 25 years old, both from Cooperstown, were arrested and are assisting police with this investigation. Meantime, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Bernard Weber handing over 17 migrants of various nationalities to immigration officials on Monday. Reports say the cutter was on routine patrol on Friday evening and located an unlit 25-foot cabin cruiser heading in a westerly course towards Fort Lauderdale. The cutter was able to intercept the vessel some 11 miles east of Pompano Beach. 23 persons were found on board and were taken into custody by the Coast Guard. Now, some 6 of those persons were detained by U.S. officials for prosecution, while the remaining 17 were brought to Grand Bahama and handed over to local immigration officials. The group of 2 Chinese, 1 Colombian, and 14 Haitians, including 4 minors, claimed that they left Grand Bahama around 8 p.m. on Friday, destined for Florida, and were stopped by the U.S. Coast Guard vessel. The 13 adult migrants will be charged this week for breach of the Immigration Act. Switching gears now, residents from various communities on Grand Bahama officially completing training in the National Neighborhood Watch Council program, taking on the challenge of partnering with members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. A special graduation ceremony was held last evening at the Police Training College. Megan Shepard was there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
for 1 week, residents on Grand Bahama were trained in various topics as a part of the National Neighborhood Watch Council program. Chief Superintendent Loretta Mackey noting that this group of volunteers were exposed to various emergency techniques. They learned how to identify suspects, build community networking communities, and how to create a greater sense of safer communities. She says that since the program was introduced by the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, it has seen great success.
Since the commencement of the National Neighborhood Watch Council last year here in Grand Bahama, community members have been afforded the opportunity to play a major part in policing their community. These community members have come together, strengthening bonds with each other, like Ms. Mitchell would have said, and the police, actively making a difference in keeping the peace. Some members actively conducting mobile and foot patrol in their areas, visiting the elderly in their homes, and holding meetings that allow for safe dissemination of information between the council and the police.
National Coordinator, Senior Assistant Commissioner Stephen Dean on island for the graduation ceremony, thanking the officers for the great work that they've been doing in training the graduates for this new task. He also notes that in the past, communities acted as more of a family environment and says that the goal is to return to that connectivity.
We are trying to get back to those times when we were our brothers' keepers, when we were responsible for what happened in the neighborhood, and I'm seeing some great signs. And that was the foundation of the National Neighborhood Watch. There have been community groups in our country for years. And just go back historically, the Neighborhood Watch was really formed to give you evidence-based crime prevention strategies that that you could get on the ground. We want to support you. We are not here to take over your communities. We are here to support the efforts of your communities.
Participants George Williams and Tammy Mitchell say that it was a rewarding week training with the police officers, and they are looking forward to making a difference in their respective communities with their new knowledge.
Assistant Superintendent Pindus spoke of ethics and professionalism and its importance in fostering and building a relationship between the police department and the general public. Superintendent Grant spoke on communications and closed-circuit television, how effective communication between neighbors could be. He stated to be confident and unafraid to communicate with the police department.
We were introduced to all of the officers in charge of the various districts on Grand Bahama, the importance of radio communication and the use of CCTV, how to effectively patrol our neighborhoods, be it on mobile and on foot. That's still a tie there. Effective ways of gathering information about a crime.
Senior Assistant Commissioner Dean adding that New Providence already has some 80 groups, Grand Bahama has 15, and the council plans to expand to more islands.
The end of this month, we'll be going into Abaco, where another 2 groups have been formed. So we are going into Abaco, we intend to go into Exuma, we intend to go in most of the populated island, that the National Neighborhood Watch, that there will be neighborhood watch groups on the ground.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news right after the break.